but
Call to order. The time is now 5:31, and this is the special meeting on June 22nd, 2026 for the Board of Education for Oak Park. Ms. Greer, can you please call the roll?
Copeland, Madison,
Here.
Perriman Tanks,
Here.
Rogers,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Tyler,
Here.
and Webster.
Here. All right, we will now move to item number 2, approval of agenda. We will unanimously approve the agenda if there are no objections to doing so. Are there any objections to doing so? All right, the agenda is approved. Item number 3, presentations. A, public hearing on the 2026-2027 budget. Ms. Andrea Farr, Director of Finance. A, 2025-2026 final budget amendment, and B, 2026-2027 proposed budget. Hello.
Good evening, board members.
Good
Thank you
evening.
so much for taking the time to be here for the presentation and the board meeting tonight. As we mentioned, we're gonna be talking about the 2025-2026 final budget amendment and next year's 2026-27 original proposed budget. We had given you guys a draft of this during the June 8th meeting, and we've had some revisions to our numbers.
Look, get up.
First and foremost.
Sorry to interrupt you,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
could I get the presentation? Whatever everybody else is watching. Listen.
Oh, Pat.
Thank you.
You may continue.
Thank you. We were able to optimize our grants and relieve the general fund of about $2.2 million, which directly increased our ending fund balance by $2.2 million. So that was great news. Our fund balance increased to I'm using round numbers, $6.5 million, which you'll see in the second from the right column, right above where it says 10.49%. Which is $300,000 less than what we had talked about in March, but it's a considerable improvement from what we had originally talked about in our June 8th meeting. And just as a reminder, the $3 million for Michigan Works was moved into its own separate fund, so is no longer being reported in the general fund. This talks about our revenue sources. The first column is our local.
So I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt again.
Okay.
So the information that you're reading, we don't have that information in front of us because that's 25-26. This is 26-27.
You should have both.
Yes.
It's in your board packet. but
Yeah.
There should be extras in the back.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'll go
No,
to
there's
that. Because it wasn't there when I last looked. I didn't know it was updated. Okay, that's why. Sorry.
It's in your board packet also.
Not the PowerPoint, not the full package. She has that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, she has the
25, 26, yeah.
You may continue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this talks about our revenue sources for 25-26, which is this current year. We have local, state, federal, and intermediate. From our previous budget amendment presented in March, our final revenues are $56.9 million approximately, which is about a $535,000 increase or decrease, sorry. The reason for that is because we have to recognize revenue when we earn it. And for our last fiscal audit, we received a finding because we recognized too much revenue before we earned it. So we went through and we really looked closely at our grants to make sure that we were going to be earning that revenue in this fiscal year. And if we did not, we moved it to the next fiscal year. So any unearned revenue from our grants is going to be moved to the next fiscal year. The analogy that I like to use is it's kind of like a gym membership. If you go to the gym and you sign up in October and you pay for the full fiscal year, you right up front, you're paying your $100 to Planet Fitness and it's for the whole entire year, but you didn't start until October. Planet Fitness can only recognize revenue for you for October, November, and December. They can't recognize that full $100. They can only recognize 30 because you've only used 3 months worth. Our grants are very, very similar, where we can only recognize revenue for funding that we have used. So any unused funding we've moved off to the next year, and that's the $500,000 difference that you see there. And our expenditures, this is really where we've combed through. If you recall, we were looking at approximately $63 million of expenditures. We've reduced that down to 61.846, which is a 1.162 reduction in our expenditures. Again, we were able to optimize our grant sources to relieve the general fund. Thank you. And as a reminder, what our 26-27 budget assumptions were was $10,300 per pupil funding. For each student that we have here, we get $10,300. We assumed that there were going to be 60 less students next year, following enrollment trends that we've seen over the past few years. We had a 3% healthcare cost increase, again, following trends from what we've seen from our healthcare. A 2% Office of Retirement Services decrease, that's State of Michigan legislature, that's going to be reducing the employer contributions by 2%. And we also assumed negotiated contractual increases for our union members. Okay, here is what the general fund for next year is looking like. Our final amendment, we had revenues of $56.9 million, total expenditures of $61.9 million. That decreased our fund balance by approximately $5 million. We had $11 million at the beginning of the year, $11.5 million at the beginning of the year. We're having $6.5 million at the end of the fiscal year. Next year, we are looking at revenues of $52.9 million. We had a $3.2 or $3 million reduction, losing our Michigan Healthy Kids grant. That was to replace our HVAC systems and asbestos remediation. That was a one-time grant that we will not be receiving. And, you know, a few other very small grants that were also one-time grants that will not be renewing. So our revenues are decreasing, but additionally, our expenses are decreasing as well, because revenue has to match expenditures when it comes to grant funding. You'll see here that originally we were projecting a $3.7 million deficit, where we had fully used our general fund ending balance. And now we are projecting, with the proposed reductions, to have the same ending fund balance, which is approximately 10% of $6.5 million. And the question is, what are our reductions? The target that we're trying to do is a 13% overall budget reduction across all categories: salaries, fringe, purchase services, and supplies. The very bottom part here is what we were looking for before we started to sharpen our pencils and look for areas where we could make reductions. Our 2025-26 final budget had a $6.5 million fund balance at the end of the year. We were projecting to have $61 million of expenses in 26-27. With that 13% overall budget reduction, we eliminated $8.152 million from our anticipated expenditures, which left us I'm sorry, we weren't, before we looked at the $8.152 million, we were looking at a negative 1.6. Woo. Sorry, I touched the cord. Where we used up our full fund balance and we were in the hole by a negative 1.6. Going back to what we're looking at now, we're looking at expenditures matching our revenues and keeping our fund balance the same, which leaves us with a 10.5% fund balance at the end of next year, instead of a negative 1.62 million and fully using our fund balance. Now, here's the part, I know you guys are gonna have a lot of questions, so please feel free, and we'll answer them as best as we can.
I have, excuse me. So the Michigan Works was always included in the fund balance all this time?
No. So Michigan Works is its own separate fund. We've moved it out of there. We moved it out of there at the beginning of the year.
Well, that's my question. Like last year, the year before, it was always counted in there?
So our fund balance is like our savings account.
I know what it is.
Michigan Works is revenue and expenditures. So we received $3 million of revenue, but we also expended $3 million. So it did not have an impact on our fund balance.
Okay, okay, so it's a moved out of general fund. That's two different things, right? Or no?
So it's its own fund now.
Okay.
So
All right. I know,
similar
I'm just-
to
okay.
like the sinking fund or the bond, it's its own standalone fund that you'll see later on in your packet on page. It's after food service. Food service, student activity account, the debt.
So I'm asking, like a year ago, its own fund balance in?
Last year, it was not in its own fund balance.
Okay,
It was
so-
included in the general fund.
Okay, so if it's 6.89 right now, so a year ago, it would have been 9.489? That's the
No.
question I'm asking.
No, that's not
Okay.
correct.
Oh, okay, well,
What happens is, because of the funding source, the revenue has to match the expenditures by the end of the year.
expenditures,
So if the Michigan Works, now it was included, but it also was, it also was subtracted out through
at the
expenditures.
same time.
At the same time,
Okay.
so it balanced
All
down
right.
to 0.
Okay, thank you, Shayna.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a lot of questions. I'm trying to figure out where to start.
Okay.
So, in this now that you're giving us, the way that it looks it though now you have balanced it, am I correct?
We have matched our revenues to our expenditures.
Okay,
Correct.
but,
Our expenses are not exceeding how much money we anticipate receiving.
okay, so we're getting ready to, look, the next slide would be for approval of a cabinet, independent contractors. All of that is in this now, what you're saying. Maybe I'm
We
ahead.
anticipated an increase in cost across the board for salaries. But we also, if you look at your packet and look for the ones that have columns that have yellow columns,
Okay,
that details where we have made reductions.
Mhm.
And we originally made our target of a 13% overall reduction in our budget. So that reduction was applied equally across all categories.
so we only have, hypothetically, we have 3,000 students, right?
Mhm.
This just me off the top of my head. So we have about a good 200 staff members right now, am I correct? Somewhere in there, 200 teachers.
There's 210 teachers.
Okay, so in this, with 210 teachers, and you're saying with less students, so that means that we'll have to reduce in staff immediately, that's what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. That's not up to me,
Mhm.
but I can defer that to Shayna.
So when we looked at the across major categories reductions, that could be, it doesn't necessarily mean a reduction. So we're going to keep with the same priorities of furthest away from kids first. When you look at that level of reduction, some things are going to be a given. For example, attrition. That doesn't necessarily mean automatically cutting people. That could mean not replacing retirements. That could mean condensing, like some classrooms we have 12 kids in. Can those 12 children be included in another classroom? That doesn't necessarily always mean a reduction in staffing. Now, again, we are fully committed to classrooms as the last resort.
Understood.
But I will say this, when you add up all the numbers, even for this building, and I share this with other people, this is about maybe $2 million. Even if we wiped out all of 13,900 grants on, we still gonna have some other things to do. So when we look at a detailed reduction plan, that could be attrition, that could be taking a look at all of our third-party contracts. Are we maximizing those third-party contracts? We'll look at the first student contract, the DeMber custodial contract. Do we have overtime in places significantly where we don't need to do that? Are we running bus routes that are efficient? Do we have 3 kids on one bus that may be able to go to a different bus? What does our summer transportation look like? We'll review all contracts carefully. We'll do everything in legal compliance. So I know one of the big buckets is special education. Those things are legally and ethically required, right?
Right.
So I can't cut, services for students.
Right.
But that may mean looking at contracted services. If somebody is charging me $150 an hour to provide OT, maybe I can negotiate with that person to bring their costs down to maybe $100 an hour. Or I can negotiate with our third-party vendors who provide those things, or maybe transportation for third-party contracted services outside of first student. So there are a lot of things that can be done now because of this quick turnaround, and we can come back, right? All we're asking for tonight is the framework, right? Because you cannot operate the district without an approved budget. That means if you all don't adopt a framework or budget framework tonight, there is no operating of the district, right? After June 30th. So all we're asking for is the suggested framework of a 13% reduction, and then we can come back with a detailed plan after I get your priorities. So if you tell me, Shayna, don't, do this or stay within the bounds of this, then we can absolutely do that. The other part is we took a look at every line item. In those places where we could cut more, we cut more to put it back in school-based salaries or school-based instruction. We cut, there was not an equal across the board cutting. We said, okay, if supplies in this area was $40,000, do we need $40,000 in supplies in this area? And we could apply that and reduce the level of reductions. And it can be a number of things. New cafeteria aids. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean, straight classroom reduction.
Right. And that's where I don't want it to go. That's where I don't want it to hit the classroom. And I don't want it to hit teachers. I understand. But I'm looking at this and you're telling me one thing over here, but we still have to approve contracts tonight. And in the contracts, a lot of the contracts have an increase in it. And so I'm here, but then I need to be balanced. But in the balancing, you want me to approve it. But then over here, I see stuff that everyone's still getting an increase. And I understand that, everyone wants to work. I got it. We got to pay people. I understand. And I know some of this stuff was in place before, but I don't want to keep going down the same route of before. That's where I'm at with it. I know we have other board members, but where I stand is that you want me to approve it over here, but you're not showing me on paper right now, because looking at it right now, everyone across the board is getting an increase. So how did that come to a balance? If I'm saying it correctly,
Right.
how did we come to a balance? And we have over here increases. So maybe
we had
attorney can
to-
answer that for me or somebody.
We had to trim $8.1 million,
Mhm.
which out of a $61 million budget,
Mhm.
if you divide 8.1 divided by 61, that's approximately 13%. So to get the framework that we're talking about tonight, we did make a 13% reduction. across all areas, but again, we are going to target specific areas that you guys tell us to target. But before we made that reduction, those were taken into account. Increases, remember we talked about the assumptions?
Mhm.
10,300 per student, less 60 students.
Mhm.
We also included a 3% health insurance increase, a 2% reduction in ORS. We also included in that assumption that people would be getting increases,
Okay.
if only to try and cover some of the cost of living increases that we've all experienced.
Okay. So, is it safe for me to say? Okay, you put a budget in front of me today, right? It needs to be approved now because we have a deadline by June 30th. And so in that we approve it, the changes are going to come after approval. That's where I'm at. Is that where we're
Yes, but
standing?
yes, on the surface, yes. But the reductions can be under the priorities of the board to get to that 13%. We just did it right now is just numbers on a page, right? We understand that there are things behind that, right? We
Okay.
get that. So if you give us what the priorities are, then
Okay.
those things will maximize,
Okay.
right? And board policy 4003 gives you all the authority at any time to conduct layoffs.
Okay.
Even if we sign contracts tonight and you say, Shayna, we need to reduce this area by X amount, that's what I got to do.
Okay.
It doesn't preclude the board, doesn't take the board's rights away from issuing, priorities or things within the budget framework
Okay.
that require action from the administrative side
Okay.
in terms of layoffs or whatever, staff reductions or whatever the
Okay.
case may be.
I just want to be clear. I'm just trying to make it clear for me. For me to say, okay, the framework is we have to have a balanced budget by July 30th. So on paper, it looks balanced now, but we still have to come back and do the reductions to get to this. Am I
There
right?
has to be a plan in place.
It has to be a
Correct.
plan in place. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I'm hearing right. I know we're going in the right direction, and don't get my questioning that we're not going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not denying that, but I just need to know. Okay, on paper today, it has to be balanced because of June 30th, and then over here, once you say we approve this, then that's when the cuts will come. But then it's like, I don't know. Is it good? Is it good? Oh, okay. I'll just pass someone else. right
It's
now.
always a work in progress. You all can
Right.
request at any time.
Understood.
And again, it was such a quick turnaround. We know that people are behind these numbers, right? We would
Gotcha.
never just come here and say whatnot. But if we
Understood.
identify the priorities, you can request at any time, Shayna, come back, finance, come back with a detailed plan and explanation and blah, 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 blah. All we put together right now is target numbers that we
Okay.
know we have to do something. Those things are done in collaboration with department heads, union leaders, and especially the board that gives me the priorities, right? And whatever we agree to, you could say, Shayna, those were the targets, make it happen, right? But at the end of the day, if we pass nothing, we're
Right.
able to do nothing, and the district does not operate after June 30th.
Understood. I just I think I'm all right.
I have a question for a couple.
So,
So actually, it's confusing to me, and I need a lot of clarity. One, I hear the board member, trustee Tyler says that as long as the numbers are right, but then the numbers can't be right if we are doing a 13% cut. Where are we cutting? Who are we cutting? And what is the budget? I mean, if you don't have what is this what, let me ask one question first. Who is getting cut? Because no one has said, you said that this is where we as the board will see where it can be cuts. But then if that is the fact, why would we approve a budget knowing that there's going to be cuts, knowing that tonight we are supposed to approve contracts at 1%, in some areas 2%, in some areas 2-year contracts. So I'm confused because if there's a cut and we're in an environment of cuts, then we need not to approve raises. I'm just saying, it's just the math to me. But Can somebody explain that to me? I mean, who's being cut? And why would the board come back after the fact to say, oh, by the way, we know we didn't have it, but I think you should just start here or start there. But I mean, I think the start should be administration, because we've always been top heavy, if that is the fact of who's being cut, because we don't know. But yet we the board are supposed to approve something tonight that we don't even know is blanket. And then also, this wasn't in board book until today, and we didn't have time to even look over this material. According to the bylaws, it says that we are supposed to look at our information prior to the meetings. But going back to my question, who's getting cut and what's getting cut and where are the cuts?
So we did a second amended budget in March. Well, first of all, Farr and I just assumed these positions and got this clear picture literally like 2 months ago, right? Or less than a month ago.
For sure.
We did present the projected budget on June 8th. That showed a negative budget at the end, which we know we cannot pass a negative budget. June 8th to June 22nd, even if I came back today to say I'm cutting everybody in 13,900 grants on, that's only $2.5 million, if that. That's still not going to get us down to the 8 that we need to get to. And because we know that people's lives are at the end of those numbers, it would behoove us to come up with clear priorities and guardrails and plans before I just say you don't have no job tomorrow, right? Provided on the updated packet. Can you go to the spreadsheet, the pro? Can you put that up on here? Now, with salary increases, if you all decide, because that would be everybody, right? So at the start of the new year, teachers automatically roll over. AYAPSA, which is our principals, automatically roll over, and paras automatically roll over. But if we're saying no salary or no increases for anybody across the board until we figure it out, we're okay with that too. I just have to know what the direction and priority is so that we're all on one accord.
I think.
So,
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So to come behind that in regards to the fiduciary duty of the board, we are talking about cuts. At any point, at any time where there is cuts, there should not be no raises. There should be a freeze. We are in the beginning, of a superintendent search. I believe, going through reading my material, doing my research with MASB, it would kind of like put the new superintendent in a chokehold and in handcuffs where they wouldn't be able to move if we were to approve all the contracts, number one. Number two, if we're talking about cuts, you have a household, you have a budget. If you're talking about cuts, you can't go spend. And I recall last month or the month before last, when we were brought the projected budget, we were told no spending. So we go from no spending to now we can cut. Now we can give raises, but yet we're not looking projective wise, we're not looking good. To me, it puts the board at a risk. It puts us at a risk because it doesn't make sense. The board to approve a blank check, pretty much, and to come back and say, oh, by the way, oh no, cut this, cut that. I'm just saying, I did my research. I'm not just talking out the back of my neck, but I'm telling you, this here, we still haven't found out who's being cut. I still haven't heard who's being cut. Or do we not know who's getting cut?
When you pull up can you pull up the prorata?
Mhm.
We went through every function code and identify where we can make cuts. Then we would align that, and you go all the way down, And then we will have to align that with what roles are necessary or not. And then align those final expenditures to what the cuts will be. Again, this is June 8th to June 22nd. I could not come in here with a list of personnel to say this person is getting cut. Now, what we can say is there are no raises across the board. That's what we can say.
I think the conversation, it's just definitely need to be had, because we don't want to continue going down the trend. And I want to say, to Andrea Farr, thank you, doing a marvelous job that I've seen on paper, as well as the superintendent, to say, this is where we are, to be transparency. And I think that's what we were missing before. So let me just, I think, lighten the room a little bit. The transparency I am thankful for. So thank you, interim superintendent, as well as Andrea, for the transparency of, this is where we are. And it's got to be, some hard conversation and some hard decision making to be made. So thank you, superintendent, for the, the transparency of saying this is where we are.
I'm sorry, I wasn't really done, not to cut you off,
I
but
thought you
I
was.
saw you
I'm
jump.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
I apologize.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I still didn't get my answer. Who's getting cut or what's being cut? I mean, you said the elementary. I see that up there. I see everyone or everything that's dealing with students. Is it an equal cut? Like, will we just go to the schools or the students first, or will we do an equal administration and schools? Or
So if I may, we had a $61 million budget overall, all in, everything that we were looking at. Out of there, you'll see on your screen right there, total instruction was $33 million. Then we had ancillary support, 4.7. So right there, and then below that, instructional staff of 3.7. $43 million of our $61 million budget is related to instructional. I don't know if Ms. Murphy will agree, but I don't see a way of cutting $8 million from the remaining 18 million that is left over and still have the district operate. There will have to be some cuts across the board.
where will we start?
That's great.
I mean, I heard you say, lunches and programs
No,
and.
we didn't say lunches. So a few things is first, reviewing any third-party contracts, right? Maximizing, for example, transportation is a $3.2 million contract, right? So are we maximizing in those areas? Sub costs, administrative assistant costs. Those are $1 million contracts, right? Non-school based staffing, that would be another area we would take a look at. Things furthest away from buildings. Class size maximization. For example, we took a look at our student to staffing ratio. I have some places where I have 12 teachers, but I only need 10, right? That doesn't mean I'm going to cut 2 people, but what that might mean is those 2 people go to current vacancies that we do have across the district, right? That just may mean a reassignment. Then we would take a look at attrition. We have a couple of retirements. We have people who decide to move on to the next level of their journey over the summer. We may not replace those positions. They may just go away. And again, this is a projected budget for the entire 2026-27 school year. This is before any dollar is even spent, right? So at any point, right, this is saying if we operate this way from July 1 of 2026 to June 30th of 2027, so many things can happen within that time frame, right? We're just going off of what current numbers are. So attrition, retirement, people that leave the district and decide to pursue other commitments. Do I need to replace those positions? Probably not. Maximizing grants. If you look at our projected budget board book, there's a sheet. Can you pull it up with the side-by-side revenues that's here? You'll see a lot of zeros in those columns. It's because a lot of those were one-time grants, right? So some of our revenue and corresponding expenditures, to be fair, went away because of one-time grants. Some significant ones were the HVAC one, right? The state is not giving us that money again. So that means anything happens in operations and maintenance around HVAC, typically we would have to take that either from sinking fund or from general fund because we got to uphold our safe and secure buildings, right? So a lot of these come from one-time adjustments or grants that no longer exist, but are we maximizing our grants? That's another area we would take a look at. And then, some non-essentials. Maybe travel is frozen for anything. Maybe conferences that cost over a certain amount is automatically denied. There are a lot of areas we can take a look at that does not automatically mean that I have to cut somebody at a school-based level. Now, for 13,900 Grand Zine, that's going to be a different testimony. And we already know that.
Got it.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna
go
just
ahead.
wait till I'll just wait till we come back to it on the agenda for the meeting. Cause I don't want to tie up the time. It's after 6:00.
If I can add one more thing.
Sure.
A significant increase this year is something called PA 18, that's special education. It went from $2 million of expenditures to over $3 million of expenditures. After COVID, we have seen a rise in the needs of our students related to special education services.
Sure.
So that's been an increase in expenditures and no revenue coming in related to that, right? But we're expending more money out because of the needs of our students, which we are ethically and legally required to do, right? So we have a combination of a couple of things. Maybe class sizes are not being maximized that we do need to take a look at. One-time grants or things that we could have pursued that we need to go back and take a look at. And then, how do we guardrail some of the required services that we have to provide? These are all of the things, but from June 8th to June 22nd, it was very difficult to come here with a laundry list of things. What we've identified as a target percentage of us saying, this is what we're going to target. And you want bullet points, and we can come back with that. But between a June 8th and a June 22nd, it would not even be fiscally responsible to come back with yep, strike this, strike this, strike this, strike this, without conversation, collaboration, contract review, all of those things.
Understood.
Okay, no more questions? All right. One second. Thank you. All right, we will now go to item number 4, audience participation. Excuse me, my voice is going, guys. Audience participation. Do we have any? Trustee Tyler, can you please
thought it
read the
was board
public
update.
comment? Excuse me.
I'm going audience participation. That was
Yeah.
presentation. Okay.
Yep.
No problem. Because the Board of Education values public meetings, not just in public, we welcome public comments on school issues. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due process, where duty privacy of others may be affected by public comments. The public comments of the meeting cannot use to be personal attacks against school board members or district employees that disrupt the order of the meeting and are totally unrelated to the matters in which the members or employee performs his or her duty. Speakers should be aware that if statement violates the rights under defamation of character could be violated and result of legal liability. Most comments can be precise and stated in 3 minutes, and the board respectfully asks that comments remain focused on the topics of issues and not directed at any specific personnel or board member. Mr. Parker.
Hello, Mr. Parker.
Hello.
Hi, Ms. Parker.
I forgot to add, I didn't hear how much time do I have?
Yeah, 3
10,
minutes.
15?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. So I'll let you know when I start, okay?
That's it.
My name is William Parker. I'm an ex-board member. I was a board member from 2002 to 2006. I was president for the last 2 years of that term. Nice to see you, Ms. Gray. It's been a long time. I'm here to talk about your superintendent search. During that time, I was on the board. We also went through a superintendent search. You're going to go and come across candidates, I understand, shortly. And you're going to be presented with a few candidates to choose from. And that's the easy part.
Mhm.
Those people you're going to see on paper, they're going to be a number, accomplishments, things of that nature. And it's just like rating them 1 to 10. You're going to know who 10 is on paper. But I would caution you, that's only half the job. The other half is understanding a person's passion, their commitment, their integrity, their ability to work with others. That's something you're going to see during interviews, and you're not going to have much time. So you have to be able to discern that quickly. And prayerfully, the choice that you make will be one that you all can live with. You have to be as a team. I know that some of you probably first-time board members. Am I correct? I mean,
Yes.
and that's what
Yes.
everybody knows. Okay. Okay. But I would advise you, take those CBA classes. Go to the conference. Don't take them online. You have to go and meet your peers in other districts. You have to see what they are doing and talk to them and get advice. Taking them online is doing a disservice to the district. You must work together. I know most of you probably came because you saw a need in the district. You wanted to fulfill something personal, probably. That's great. Work on that, but work together. You have a deficit. You have to make some hard choices. And you just have to make the choices. And you have to be able to live with them. You can't have everything. You can't have always what you want. So make those choices. Be a team. Get a superintendent that you can trust and can talk to and can work with schools, with the students, with the teachers, with the support staff. I think my 3 minutes may be up. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
None other than Mr. Smith himself. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!
Come on.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. Hi.
This is kind of bittersweet being up here talking to you as I was able to serve this district faithfully and with great enthusiasm. I'm Albert A. Smith III, former Vice President of Oak Park Schools Board of Education from 2017, 2018 to 2025. The latter part of that I spent as the vice president. I wrote y'all a letter. You know, I've been watching, and I wrote y'all a letter, and I'm here to support. I'm here to communicate my thoughts. I wrote y'all a letter. All right. Trustees of the Oak Park School District, as we approach the selection of a new superintendent for 2026-2027 school year, I offer this suggestive directive as both a former vice president of this board and as a lifelong advocate for the success of the Oak Park's children. The decision before you is one of the most consequential responsibilities entrusted to any Board of Education member. It demands unity of purpose, disciplined leadership, and unwavering commitment to the students and families we serve. The importance of collaboration and cohesiveness. The strength of any school district begins with the strength of the board. The trustees must operate collaboratively, cohesively, and always in the best interest of students. Healthy disagreement is natural, even necessary in public governance. But disagreement must never become dysfunction. The ability to agree to disagree while maintaining respect, professionalism, and focus is a hallmark of effective leadership. Personal issues, interpersonal conflicts, and political differences must be set aside. The board's work is too important, and the stakes of our students are too high. The public is watching, always. Excuse me. In today's environment, every action taken by this board is visible. Televised meetings, social media circulation, community conversations, and formal documentation accessible via FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act. The community is not only observing what decisions you make, they are observing how you make them. Conduct, tone, unity, professionalism shape public trust. And public trust is the currency that allows a district to move forward. Selecting the right superintendent for Oak Park, the next superintendent must be more of a manager more than a manager. They must be a visionary leader, capable of restoring financial stability, reversing chronic absenteeism, improving improving academic performance across all grade levels, aligning the district's culture towards excellence, accountability, and student achievement. While Oak Park continues to shine in athletics, band, and extracurricular programs, our mission is broader, and I say our as a community. The superintendent must elevate the district academically so that Oak Park becomes a place where students want to learn, educators want to teach, families want to enroll, and the community is proud to invest. This requires a leader who's strategic, data-driven, community-minded, and afraid to make difficult decisions for the long-term health of the district. Oak Park Schools has every ingredient needed to become a premier district in Michigan: diverse talent, strong community pride, and a legacy of resilience. But reaching that potential requires a board that is unified in mission and disciplined in execution. Your change is clear. Put students first, govern with integrity, select a superintendent who can lead with courage and confidence, and demonstrate to the community the children of Oak Park deserve nothing less. As Mr. Parker said, take advantage of those CBA classes, MASB. Go and get with your peers in, because you'll be surprised at how many different districts are going through exactly what you're going through. So in some cases, it's a learning. There's a learning curve, and there's time, and the experience. So I'm praying that y'all get better. I pray that you keep the vision going and work together. And let's do what's right for Oak Park. That is my time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any more? That's it? Okay, thank you all for speaking. We will now move to item number 5, communications. Any communications from the administration?
This is still the budget meeting?
Yes.
Oh,
No.
no, I'll save it to the regular.
Okay, any communications from the board? All right, we will now move to item number 6, adjournment. This meeting is adjourned, and we will start our next meeting. Okay, call to order. The time is now 6:19, and we will begin the regular meeting for the Board of Education of Oak Park. Ms. Greer, can you please call the roll?
Copeland,
Here.
Madison,
Present.
Herman Tanks,
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Tyler.
Here.
And Webster.
Okay, we will approve number 2. Item number 2, we will approve the agenda if there are no objections to doing so. Are there any objections? All right, the agenda is approved. We will move to item number 3, approval of consent agenda. Minutes of the regular meeting held on June 8th. We will do that by unanimous consent if there are no objections to doing so. Are there any objections? Okay, the consent agenda has been approved. We'll move to item number 4, presentations, board policy updates by Troon Law Firm.
Do you need anything projected?
I'm assuming the board members all have the updates?
Yes, but I will, I'll
Nobody.
make more. Yes, those are the same ones from April that I've shared 3 times, so
Okay.
I'll make.
Okay.
Thank you.
I,
Oh, this is yours.
And just a correction for the record, it's actually Miller Johnson Law Firm.
So sorry.
No worries.
I didn't type that, but sorry.
Okay. Should we just wait until they get the copies?
Maybe you
before-
want to do a lead-in intro?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. So, the law firm regularly puts out updates as needed for various reasons throughout the year. This last update came through, as was mentioned, in April, and so it updates several things, most of which came through as a need based on modifications to state law. And so, if, once you get your copies, I can walk through what those modifications are just briefly as we go through as well.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I apologize for that. My name is Bob Schindler. I'm one of the attorneys at Miller Johnson.
Hi, Bob.
Hi. I'm one of the partners in the education group and have been working with these policies since we started the policy service many, many years ago. So,
Thank you. Yes, I'm about to get another one. Ow. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Wait.
so as you are receiving these, you'll see on the front page, it shows kind of a basic description of what the modifications are and the basis for them. And then it describes how in the following pages, any policy additions are shown in red and any strikeouts are shown in blue with a strike through. So if you, again, it kind of gives a brief explanation for each. I'll walk through each of these for you a little bit here as we go to make it easier as well. So starting on page 2, you'll see it's got 2 columns there. On the left is the current language in board policy or administrative regulation, depending on the situation. And then on the right is the proposed modifications. So the first one is in relation to policy 2003 on education records. Again, as it explains, this is sort of driven by some change in state law. It's a pretty minor statement and just has an introductory clause in the front that says consistent with applicable state law, parents may inspect all materials used. So we just added that consistent with applicable law, and then added a paragraph on the end because in this last year's State Aid Act, it created a requirement that districts will ensure that survey questions and things that are given to students are also posted on the website. And so it just makes that modification, says that consistent with the state law, it's MCL 388.1764K, that the district will ensure that those questions and results to district-wide surveys, state or federally mandated surveys, and surveys distributed to all students in a grade level will be made available to the public by being posted on the district's websites. And parents will be notified of these survey questions and results. However, the district will comply with the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act before releasing any survey results. So that last part is just to say we're not releasing any individualized student information because that's protected by their student privacy rights, but we will release results and questions. So that's the first recommended change. Are there any questions on that one?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
So the state, let me compose this better. I didn't write it out, but so the state policies have to be adopted from the board, correct?
So,
Or not the state because they're already a law, but what has to be adopted is what we have in place now to what has changed.
so the state law was modified to make this requirement of the posting on the website, right? So we're just modifying the policy to make sure that we're incorporating state law and so that people know that we're complying and that we're posting these on the website. So the state law doesn't specifically say you must put this in policy, but we're adding it on because we want to make sure that it's known publicly that we are complying and this will be posted.
Okay.
The second one, policy 2004, extracurricular activities. This deals with athletics and sort of the rise of NIL and the things that come along with that. Again, for those who don't know, NIL means name, image, and likeness. We've seen this in college, and this is now coming its way down into high schools where people can get NIL deals and make money. And what we're saying in the policy is, one, we're complying. MHSAA, the Michigan High School Athletic Association, who creates rules relative to athletic competitions, one, will follow MHSAA policies relative to this. But two, what we're saying is we're not going to allow for personal branding or NIL activities that would violate school policy, or otherwise that could be dealt with through our code of conduct or violate the code of conduct, and that we don't want personal branding activities, name, image, or likeness activities during school hours or events on school property. So students can strike an NIL deal and they can make some money, good for them, but that's outside of school and their activities, and they shouldn't be doing that at school. And then any activities they do should be consistent with the student code of conduct.
So are you saying that they can't earn or they can just do it on their time?
They can do it
Okay.
on their time.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. 2006 behavior. This is an update to the, we modified the name of the policy. This comes along with the state recently passed a law relative to cell phones in schools, right? And so this is a modification of what was called the personal electronic devices policy. We've modified that to wireless communication devices to make it a bit more broad and to be consistent with state law. And so this just talks about how the school district reserves the right to prohibit the possession or use of wireless communication devices on school property or at school district related functions. And then it goes through and defines some of these terms as well. What is a wireless communication device? What is instructional time and the use of instructional time, and what is on school grounds? And so it just creates some clarification there and makes it consistent with state law. And then similarly on the next page, on page 4, it gets into the actual regulation on the prohibition of wireless communication devices, and says that in accordance with state law, Students are prohibited from using wireless communication devices on school grounds during instructional time and the school day unless required by law, and goes into more of that as well. And so then again, this is in an effort to make sure that we are passing a policy that is compliant with the state's cell phone law.
I have a question there.
Yes.
I'm reading here, it says that student code of conduct. The student code of conduct at this moment should be matching what the board policy is. Okay, so have you taken a look at the student code of conduct?
I have not.
Okay.
Now, obviously, again, if we're modifying the policy and the procedures and they're inconsistent, that's something we're going to want to get straightened out before the next school year and make sure that the two flow together properly.
I'm glad you read my mind.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks.
The next modification is in section 3003 instruction. This is in relation to curriculum. Again, this is a point driven by a modification in state law, which is that the state law currently requires that you use evidence-based curriculum. Modification in the state aid act says that if a district doesn't use in any class one of the state approved evidence-based curriculums, that you would inform the parents of students in that class that they are taking a class wherein evidence-based curriculum is not being used. Hopefully we don't have that problem. We'll have all the proper curriculum in place, but we want to make sure that that's part of the policy, that we will comply and that will notify parents in that situation. Any questions there?
No, sir.
The 4000 series, this is a new policy that we've added and recommended. And this is not one driven by state law. This is one that has come about through a number of situations in school districts where we've had issues. And so we decided to craft this and put it into our recommended policies. And it is an anti-moonlighting policy. What this says is, in essence, I'm summarizing a bit here, right? But if a school employee can have second jobs, but that those second jobs should not conflict with their employment with the school district or inhibit their ability to serve the students of Oak Park or the Oak Park School District. And so this is, again, I don't need to get into the scenarios, but we've had all kinds of scenarios that have come about. What, give one?
Please.
Yeah, sure. A teacher who had taken a leave of absence at one school district claimed it was for one purpose and took a job at another school district teaching other students. And our position was, well, wait a minute. No, you're employed here. You're our teacher. If you want to take a job in another district, God bless you, go do it. But then you have to resign and go to that school district. And this person was a tenured teacher, so we had to have the threat of going to a Teacher Tenure Act charges to try and dismiss them for working somewhere else when they were employed here. So that's one example. Other examples would be if, I guess I can't think of another one off the top of my head, but if somehow a job was actually working against Oak Park schools, then it could be part of the consideration as well. And so that's what it gets into there. And that's the reason why, and again, this is one that is not needed for compliance with law. That's one that we have put into recommendation because it's been asked for by other school districts that are policy clients of ours. Next one, 5003, purchasing federal grants and awards. Again, this is more of just an effort to make sure that the language said superintendent will promulgate legally compliant administrative regulations concerning expenditures of funds received through federal grants and awards. But the reality is there is more to that process of making sure that grants are complied with than just the regulations that we have as part of the policy manual. There's also sort of internal controls that should be used to ensure that we're properly following the law. And so what we've added here is that second sentence that says the superintendent shall establish and maintain effective internal control over financial grants and awards that provide reasonable assurance that the program and funds are managed in compliance with applicable statutes, regulations, and the terms and conditions of the awards. So in other words, not just your more broad regulations, but with each grant, it places a responsibility on the superintendent to ensure that internal controls are being developed to ensure compliance with those grants.
What would be internal?
Internal would be making sure, let's say, for example, if grants can only be spent on certain activities or certain classes or certain personnel, then it would be controls within, say, for example, the business department to make sure that they're following those procedures and ensuring that every dollar that's being spent is being spent in an area that is compliant with that grant.
So does that grant, is it specific to a person or a company or whatever that grant can be used for?
Yeah, so usually the grant won't be specific to a person. Usually it depends on the grants. There are a lot of different grants, whether it's state, federal grants, different kinds. It's going to be dependent upon it might be for certain activities, right? It could be, thinking as an example, right? So there was, I'm sure this board dealt with, like all boards, whether to pass or not to pass for 31AA funds, right? So 31AA has certain rules within it. It can be spent on security, but only certain levels or only certain parts of security, right? And so part of that is, for example, having internal controls to ensure that when that grant money is being spent, it's being spent properly on, security software, but not on security personnel, or security personnel, but only if they have the right licensing to be used for that. So that's what it's talking about, that when it comes to these grants, because most grants are so specific that your normal regulations won't be enough to ensure compliance with each of those. So it puts upon the superintendent the responsibility to work with the business department and set up controls to make sure that that's being done properly.
Thank you. I just saw the word shall, so I know that has to be done.
Shall means will. That's right. Yes, absolutely. 7,000 series. When it comes to, this is an addition regarding record retention. So the state publishes a retention schedule that it puts out for schools on how long all different kinds of records must be retained. Not just student records, personnel records, business records, and it has rules in terms of each one of these things. So it's just saying that, one, we're going to follow that retention schedule and we're going to retain those records for the proper amount of time. And then after that time is up, the district can destroy those records properly, unless, and one part it adds is that unless the district is in receipt of a litigation hold or similar notice. So oftentimes if an entity, for example, is going to be sued or is either being sued, or oftentimes before a lawsuit happens, an attorney will send a school district a letter and say, my client is so-and-so, we are considering litigation. I advise you to hold any records related to. So if it's an employment matter, right, anything that has to do with the employment of this individual. And so even if we were at the end of the retention schedule, what it's saying is we wouldn't destroy those records at that point because we're in receipt of that litigation hold letter. 7008 advertising. This really is it's a fairly minor change, and it's just meant to give a little bit broader language, which was the old language says the superintendent shall prepare regulations addressing the circumstances under which the district would consider accepting commercial advertisements. We've modified that to say would consider accepting advertisements, including but not limited to commercial advertisements. Because people may want to advertise things that aren't necessarily commercial in nature, right? Political activities, someone running for office wants to, put a banner on the baseball field, outfield wall or something along those lines, right? So it just broadens that scope to say it's more than just commercial advertisements, it's any advertisements at all. And then the final one is 8003 related to web accessibility. This deals with some new federal guidelines relative to accessibility, digital accessibility. So meaning accessibility to web pages for people who have oftentimes, for example, hearing or sight-based disability, and their ability to sort of follow through on websites. And it's just modifying the language to say that we are going to comply with the latest federal accessibility guidelines to ensure that all of our websites are accessible to those that have disabilities. And those are the policy updates that are being recommended. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
I have one more. Are there any more adoptions that we need? Because I know we're behind in a lot of updates.
Yeah, I am not sure. I have not done an audit personally on that to make sure, but we can. We're happy to do that, to go through as a law firm and audit and see if any updates have been missed.
Okay, is there a timeline to that, or?
Like how long it would take to get done?
Because you wouldn't know that if you haven't seen or know what hasn't been updated.
We usually are pretty good about that historically. The way it works is we provide the updates and then districts, because we work with the company that maintains the website for the policies. So once updates have been passed, they're usually sent back to us to notify us they've been passed, and then we update your policies online. So to the extent that those have been passed and updated, we would know that. And so we can go back and say, okay, the last time the policies were updated was 2024, and we can go back and we can look at all the updates that we've had since then and provide them to the board.
And beg my pardon, but I was just asking why we had your attention, because it's been a very long time since we've actually updated them. That's why I'm asking. So I didn't want, it to just go by the wayside that we don't, get this done.
Yeah, I understand that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Any other questions? Well, thank you all very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate you. We will now move to item number 5, reports. Interim Superintendent, Mrs. Shayna Murphy.
All right. So for our regular meeting tonight, I would just like to take a moment to highlight the post-secondary readiness and future planning of our graduating seniors. Last board meeting, we congratulated the innovative class of 2026. But I wanted to take a moment to make a couple of highlights of some students that we were not able to do at graduation. But across Oak Park High School and Nova Academy, our students are preparing for a wide range of next steps, including college, trade school, workforce opportunities, summer employment, and continued career exploration. And this is an important reminder that student success does not look the same for every graduate, and we know that. But it is our responsibility to ensure that every student leaves with a plan, a pathway, and a support for what comes next. So at Oak Park High School, students were accepted into several colleges, including Central Michigan University, Grand Valley State University, Oakland University, Oakland Community College, Wayne State University, Eastern Michigan University, Ferris State University, Michigan State University, Saginaw Valley, and several out-of-state institutions. Most notably, Austin Edwards, our valedictorian, he was accepted on an academic scholarship to the University of Southern California, USC. Rondre Ostian was accepted to the University of Michigan, go Blue, that's my alma mater, on a football scholarship. Quentin Blakely, Olivet Nazarene in Illinois for track, and Ryan Jeffries and Shondale Warren. Ryan Jeffries was a part of our state track champion winning team. Both of them were accepted to Morgan State University on track and field scholarships. At Nova Academy, 20 seniors collectively secured approximately $186,000 in documented financial aid awards. 17 students are entering college or trade school, with 3 students pursuing a gap year. Nova students are headed to institutions at Oakland Community College, Ferris State, Wayne State, and David Presley School of Cosmetology, and Northwestern Technological Institute. So several pathways for all of our students. And what is especially encouraging is a range of career interests that our children have. Our graduates are exploring fields such as business, law, finance, nursing, HVAC, welding, cosmetology, automotive technology, culinary arts, criminal justice, sports medicine, real estate, game design, truck driving, and electrical trades. That's where the money is at, okay? All the skilled trades. Is this thing going? That's where all the money at, okay? All the rest of the children watching. 5 Nova seniors also completed the Grow Detroit Young Talent summer employment process. So they'll be working that program, which reflects continued workforce engagement beyond graduation. So as we continue to celebrate the class of 2026, we also recognize that we have work to do. But overall, this graduating class reflects resilience, ambition, and diverse future goals. Whether our students are entering a university, community college, trade school, or workforce, or another pathway, we are so very proud of them. They are leaving Oak Park prepared to continue building bright futures, and we continue to celebrate the class of 2026. So that is the interim superintendent's report.
Thank you.
All right. We will now move to item number 6, public participation. Trustee Tyler, can you please read the public comment guidelines?
Go ahead. I don't have any. You going? Okay, you have one coming up? Okay. Because the Oak Park Board of Education valued the public meeting, not just in public, we welcome we welcome public comments on school issues. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due process of privacy of others who may be affected by public comments. The public comments of the meeting cannot be used to a personal attack against school board members or district employees that disrupt the order of the meeting and are totally unrelated to the matters in which the members in employment performs his or her duties. Speakers are aware to be stated that if statement violate the rights on the defamation of character law, rights others on the defamation of character should be committed and result in legal liability. Most comments can be precise within 3 minutes, and the board respectfully asks the comments remain focused on topics and not disrupt this order of the meeting.
All right.
Ms. Fuller?
Mrs. Fuller? Hello.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm Desiree Fuller. I'm the president of the Oak Park Education Association. And honestly, I wasn't planning on saying nothing. I wanted to sit, chill, and just take notes. But since that budget presentation, my phone has been blowing up nonstop, as you can imagine, right? And there are teachers who are worried, some social workers. I had a few counselors. And the teachers are deeply anxious because we didn't hear that there will be cuts coming toward the classroom. And what really, really bothers us is that the mismanagement of the money had nothing to do with us, but we may end up paying the price, or we're gonna have to work in conditions that we just gotta do what we gotta do in order to keep the door open. So since I had to hear it, I'm going to share it with you. People are scared, they are worried. Should I go look for another job? So when you know, please let me know or let us know, and be fair to the teachers if that's the route that you are planning to take, so people can make the adjustments that are necessary. All right? I hope it doesn't come to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. Is that it? All right. Item number 7, action items. 7A, approval of board policy updates for policies 2020, 2003, 2004, 2006, 3003, 4003, 5003, 7001, 7008, and 8008. Would anyone like to read that motion?
I can read it.
All right, go ahead. Thank you.
Resolved that the Board of Education approves the school board policy updates as presented following second reading, with the first reading having occurred on April 27, 2026.
A second.
Second.
Okay, motion made by trustee Scott and seconded by myself. Any discussion on this motion?
I have a discussion.
Go ahead.
On the moonlighting, well, first, I want to say that thank you, he left, but thanks for coming and getting some of these policies started to be in place legally and ethically. Also, I wanted to say, seeing that there are more policies to be amended or adopted, I would like to know that if we could please get a committee together, because the board should also have our own language. If you heard him, he said that they would have to go in line, and also he made some adjustments to what our language was already saying, but changing it. But I believe that the board should collaboratively get together and agree on what our policies should say, and not allow others to just put our policies into place. Because it is the board's duty, and we don't want to give our duty to someone else when it's our duty. That's just like, just saying do whatever. Also, the policy in regards to the anti-moonlighting, I have never heard of that. He gave the one example. I don't know what school district that was. I have never heard anything like that. I would not, I don't agree to that, because I agree to it, but I've never heard of it. Like, I mean, I know I've heard of moonlighting with police officers, where they can't go work overtime. But he gave an example that I was confused. I thought that's what that was about. But basically, he's saying for another teacher to go into another district. But I think legally that would probably, because he said it was, like it wasn't illegal. It was illegal because the person had charges. So with it already being like mandated for any type of reprimand, I was just saying that I had never heard of the policy.
Can I add a little bit to the discussion, President?
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
I know the term anti-moonlighting seems a little, like Trustee Corcoran said, like, back in the day, 1970s, police action movie. But really what the policy is saying is you can't work here and work somewhere else at the same time during the same hours. Right. That's all that the policy is addressing. Right. And generally because we've had several situations here in the district, and if you wanted more information, I can get that to you in board updates. We've had several. Now they were handled, right? Because that's an administrative oversight, right? Not like governance. They were handled, but we have in recent years had people working another job or thing during their contract hours. So that's all that's addressing. And in order to appropriately handle that, everything is governed first by board policy, state law, then board policy, then employee handbook, then it goes down and down. But board policy outside of state law trumps everything. And so if it's in the policy, we have a stronger leg to stand on if we find that an employee is working another job while on a leave or whatever the case may be, while they're also getting paid from the district for the same time frame. Like you can't be in two places at one time and getting a check.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Conflict. Okay.
So you brought up a great point, which made me think. I was looking for the state policy. I don't think this is actually because you know how like the Michigan. Oh, it is a state.
No,
Oh,
it's
oh.
not. It's not a state policy. What Miller Johnson is saying to protect the district, because they are the purveyors, and I do want to apologize to Ms. Pat. I told her Troon in the thing, but I was multitasking. Miller Johnson is the holder of all of our right. They promulgate all of our board policy. That's one that they suggested because they have to, like he said, they've had to go to court and they're the law firm, right? So they would know when things hit the fan. And they instruct their districts some some guardrails to put in place to safeguard the district against people doing things that they have continued to address, even if it's not in our district. Now, we've addressed it in our district. It didn't come to your level because the person did not fight, right? And they will come and do a closed session, like if they get disciplined and they don't agree. But in recent years, we've had a couple of situations. It just never made it to your level because they just, resigned and went about their business after it was proven that they were claiming to be on a leave, but working here in the district.
It makes
So
sense.
with that, so it just says school district employees. I see, are prohibited.
During their contracted work time, if you're getting paid, right? That's all that it's doing.
So it's contract workers.
No. So like if you are expected to be at work from 8 to 3, you can't have another job that you getting paid 12 to 2 on the same day.
So they should put in school and hairdo and nails and appointments, right?
Whatever's going.
That's what I mean. I mean, honestly, because if you can leave to go work, you can leave to go.
No, you can't be on a paid leave from the district or for that are protected under FMLA and work another job.
Oh, it don't say FMLA in here.
No, I'm saying if you are on a leave. Now, if you want to keep so what it's doing is protecting the district from situations where an employee may be on a paid leave, FMLA, or some other approved thing, or not, because we've had that situation too, or not. You at work and you working somewhere else.
So would employees be considered as who? Are through the district or contractors? Because they're employees too.
Yeah. So direct hire employees. So district employees. Now, contract employees, we're not the employer. We pay their employer for their services. So DM Burr, I can't tell a DM Burr employee they can't work anywhere else. DM Burr signs their paychecks. We pay DM Burr for a service, but DM Burr is their employer. So whoever signed your paycheck is your employer, right? So I can't, if a DM Burr custodial person is moonlighting somewhere else, I have no skin in the game other than informing DM Burr that their employee is doing X, Y, and Z. Right. So this policy, board policy, applies to district employees because we sign their paycheck, or y'all do.
So this is why I want to say we need a committee, because there are other things that I want to say that directly talks about this, because it doesn't talk about contract workers. It should be everybody in the district.
We can't dictate the work of another.
But we're
company.
paying them though.
Right, we pay them for a service. That's like your nail tech. We pay people for a service. That's why they're purchased service, but they're their employer.
So how are they held accountable?
So we hold the contract person accountable. So for example, DM Burr is our custodial contract, right? If there's an issue, Tiffany and Yolanda or Ms. Director Cavill and Ms. Hurd, they will go to Mr. Allen or whoever is over the DM Burr contract to say these things are not happening and we need X, Y, and Z. We go to the person managing the contract, not to the employee.
But there are contracts that we have that are just individual people. They are the boss of them.
Well, yeah. And then that way they're providing a service to the district, right? It's the difference between a salary and a purchase service. If we pay your salary, great, right? We pay your salary, then you are beholden to all of the work policies. Now, you can make a case. So if you have an independent contractor and they violate something on board policy, you can make a case to whatever with that person, stop their services, but we don't have to go through all of the tenure acts and all of the required legal guidance. We can just stop their services because we don't owe them nothing.
Right. But you said that this will help facilitate the reprimand, or the language will say, we have it in language written black and white, but under moonlighting, it should be other things added into here other than it should be specified of the district employees. It doesn't specify other than just the employees. You understand? So if a person is reading this, they're not going to say, oh, this is talking about contracted employees also. I think it should be a little bit more spelled out. I mean, that's just what I believe.
Wouldn't that come from the law?
No, it comes from the board. That's why I was saying we need to have a committee to talk about this.
Understood.
So it
Well,
it
does say
says school district employees.
Correct, but
That's
school.
district employees.
So if a person has a contract,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that they are hired through the district?
They're contracted.
No, school district employees. What is considered a school district
Anybody
employee?
hired through the school district. Contracted
Aaliyah,
employee.
can you answer that question for us, please?
I can. She can't speak from there.
She can't. Oh.
No.
Oh, y'all took all that away. Is that why they don't have no tables over here? Dang. Okay, go ahead.
Anybody who receives their salary and benefits.
With a check with Oak Park on.
Right, you get a direct deposit, you get a whatever. Well,
Okay.
anybody who receives their salary and benefits from the Oak Park School District is considered a school district employee. Anybody who receives their paycheck from a vendor.
We know that, but them people out there don't know that. It should say it should specify vendor. I mean, you have to spell out these things. I'm just saying, as a bargaining person, you know, if it was me at Chrysler or wherever, if I read that, I want it to be a little bit more detailed to specify what employees are you talking about. Okay. I mean, I'm just serious, like, cause we hired contractors for like when we had the dogs, you know, like just to specify. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's legal binding. I mean, forgive me, please do not beat me up. I promise. It's legal. So if you're gonna legally say something, you gotta specify what is or what a school district. I get it. Whatever who applies, get the job, you work for the district. I get that. But I'm just saying, specifics. Copy.
So should we add all school district employees excluding contract workers?
No, we don't want to exclude. We want to add them.
So you don't want them to moonlight? Yeah. You don't want the contract.
And can we clarify contract,
Yeah,
right?
thank
So
That's why we need the specifics, because see, we got to clarify what a contract, what isn't. Oh, go ahead.
So anybody that's a district employee that's not in a bargaining unit. So AOPSA, which is our principal unit, OPEA, which is our teacher unit, and OPSPA, which is our peer educator unit. Anybody else who's a school district employee has an at-will is an independent contract with the district. But to your point, that can get confusing. That just means they're not in a bargaining unit with other groups, but they are a school district employee. When we say contract, we mean contractor. Your employer is somebody else. DM Burr, First Student, Chartwells, whatever. But independent contract just means you're not in a bargaining unit, but you are a school district employee. A contractor means that your check is given from somebody else.
So I totally understand, because we have hourly bargaining unit and we have salary bargaining unit in the places of union places, right? So all I was just saying, if it was because I only speak for me, that if I'm as I am a mother, an auntie, and a great aunt in this district of students, and I'm reading this, I'm going to say, what are the specifics? That's all. And to the board members and the president that said school district employees. That to me is just vague because we have, as you said, non-bargaining, we have bargaining. It should say who, to specify the difference of who we're talking about. That's all. Sorry. Again, I don't know why I'm apologizing, but I mean, I have a job and I work too, and I have to read my contract. And if I read the contract and if it doesn't make sense, I gotta say something like, hey, you got a whole contract. This ain't right. Because if I get in trouble, I'm going to the contract. And it just need to just say that. That's all.
Do you have proposed language for making that more clear?
Not right now, but I would make it up. I mean, I looked at it, but I didn't want to overstep my bounds because we didn't have a committee. So this will be the chance for me to talk about it. That's all.
Okay. Any other discussion
So
on
I
this
can make
motion?
oh. Go ahead and finish. I was gonna. I could, with the permission of the board, because we have to. This is an action item.
Yes.
I would rather. I mean, I don't know if you all want to take a little time to get the language together because this is our language. If you wanted to just, take 10 minutes or something later and just, or I write it out and just give it to you and then
Well,
we can
I-
table.
We have to agree on whatever somebody trying to change.
That is true.
So we about to vote on.
So we can actually move this if we could just move this, table this one, so I can just drop the language to give to the board.
All right, is everybody okay with that? Ms. Greer? Can you call the
Okay,
roll
thank you.
for it to be
Can I ask a
tabled?
clarifying question? Is that tabling for this meeting or another meeting?
No. I mean, I can
Just move it
make it
down?
up. Yeah, I
Oh,
can.
okay.
Because it just needs to just specify, just who.
Who was
Yeah, that's
applied
it. It shouldn't take that long. But yeah, we can just move
So
it.
you want to just move it down?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
All
Thank
right,
you.
so we're gonna move down action item number A, approval of board policies updates to after G. Okay, item number 7B, organizational membership, Michigan Association of School Boards, MASB. Would anyone like to read that?
I'll read it.
All right.
Be it resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education approves renewal of its membership with the Michigan Association of School Boards, MASB, for the period of July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, and authorizes the payment of membership dues in the amount of $6,605.89.
Second.
All right, motion made by trustee Heather Perryman-Tanks and seconded by trustee Tyler. Any discussion on this motion? Ms. Greer, can you please call the roll?
Webster,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Cochran,
Yes.
Yes.
Madison,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
and Perryman Tank.
Yes.
All right, that motion has been passed. We will now move to item number 7C, approval of the contract with Lagarda Security Services for school security services. Would anyone like to read this message?
read it.
Motion? All right, trustee Rogers.
Resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education approves and accepts the contract with Lagarda Security to provide district-wide security services for the period of July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029, at a total estimated cost of $3,854,044.80, and authorizes the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents and take such actions as may be required to implement the agreement.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Rogers and seconded by trustee Tyler. Any discussion on this motion?
I just had one question. I noticed what's attached is it says it's a rate agreement. Do we know when we're gonna get like the contract to look at, or like what are the duties, or do we just go off of the big old pamphlet that they sent to us? Do we have something where they sign to say they agree to?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Right now, we are working on the finishing touches of the contract. So once we get all of that, then that's pretty much where we are right now.
Do you want an overview? Because that was, we
Yeah.
don't sign anything until you all give us approval, right? So we didn't sign anything yet.
No, I said, okay, so in the past or with any employee of the district of Oak Park, they have a contract. So again, I was just wondering if they got a contract. If they don't have a contract, I don't know how we're gonna vote on something. They ain't got no contract. Like, for instance, are you they boss? Because I know you have a title as the director, or I can't remember what your title is.
Executive Director
Oh,
of Safety
excuse
and
me.
Security.
Money, money, and money. Okay. So the executive or the executor of security collaborates with them, but because I don't have a contract in front of me to know what their real scope of work is. Go ahead.
Their scope of work is based on our RFP that we actually put out there earlier. So what we're doing is that we're taking that what we've been doing before. We're not changing too much, but except the company. So they haven't changed anything that we do here. They're going to supply us the people. We're not changing no more than just having some more individuals than we had before. We had like 24. We went to 32, 33 individuals previously.
Yeah, so
Training as well.
Yeah, because I noticed that they are full of employees, according to the gentleman that came and spoke, and he said that they had so many employees. But that's what because like in the contract, like they say, put your mouth where your money is. So if he came there, he gave us all of this, what he gonna do, can do, will do. The board should not be without a contract. This is just a money thing that we're approving. This is not a contract. So are we coming back to it?
What we're doing is once you say okay, then we will bring the contract. We can't do anything until you say okay.
There's one small section of the contract that we were going back and forth with Lagarda and
Yes.
Shroom today, so we're finalizing that one section and then it'll be.
I must be on something today, but it's been many a times where contracts have been people have already been hired, and then they're waiting for the board to just approve in some cases after. And please, again, apologize because I'm a little tired of the going backwards instead of going forward. It's like, here, go a check, go ahead and take it. But however, I was just wondering, would you just help me to say that they're going to bring a contract. Do you know when?
We will have that contract for you to go over. One of the big problems were with the contract, we wanted to make sure that we kept our people. So
Understood.
we didn't want to lose the staff that we.
So
have
it's under
already
negotiation
invested
at this point,
with.
because you said it was that little part.
That was the little part. We just wanted to make sure we kept our good people.
Gotcha.
And they did not fall under them. So in the event they don't work,
Right.
we don't want them to say that we can't keep them.
Right.
So it's a grandfather clause that we actually, just to be transparent, it's a grandfather clause that we were trying to work out to make sure that we keep our good people.
And that's satisfaction, because I was just like, okay, what are we doing, without a contract? But I understand, because that is actually very important that we keep, because that would have been my question, are you coming in, because these employees know the district, they about the district, they done live the district, they done culturally know the district. That one right there has been here a very long time, and I would hate to see what we already have in place to be, replaced.
Well, let me just say this as well. In the event LaGuardia didn't work out like 2 or 3 years later, we didn't want to lose our employees there either, because that was what we were fighting for.
And how long is their contract for?
3 years.
3 years. 3 years. How long was DM Bird's contract for?
It was 3. But
Them 3 years go by quick.
They have been here a long time.
Oh, they've been here a long
They've been
time.
here, what, 12? About 12
Oh,
years.
yes, too long.
About 12.
Okay.
Too long.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Can I go, President?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. You can stay at the mic. You can stay up there, stay at the podium. Stay there, stay there. All right. First of all, I want to say I'm excited. Y'all know security is my thing. I'm excited to see that security get an increase after so long. I'm excited. I can clap for that. Okay, so I heard you say that you're working in the clause so that in the future, if hypothetically someone get fired and LaGuardia decides to not keep them, I think there's been a clause before with several security companies that if they get fired from one company and the district wanted them, they couldn't come over. Am I correct? Was we're working on something like that in the contract?
What we were working on, I think I know what you're referring to, but what we were working on is, let's say LaGuardia left,
Mm-hmm.
right? They could not, our employees who were with us could not come with the new company, if that makes sense. So if we went and hired another company, then the people that we have currently couldn't come work with us.
When you say work with us, meaning the school district itself, Oak
They
Park.
could work with the school district in a different capacity, but they could not be security.
But they
for a
could.
year.
Okay, so now that's being changed. Is that going to be in the language for
Well,
us, please and
yes.
thank you?
We actually grandfathered our current employees in as Oak Park, like under Oak Park umbrella. So
That
that's
sounds
what we
good.
did.
Well, that sounds so wonderful.
It does.
Oh, that sounds so wonderful. Thank you, because that has been my heart's desire. One of my main heart's desire when I went to run is that security will come back into our school district. Because when I was here, my first day on the job, I was an employee, and then when they outsourced, I still stayed. But I think you get a lot of more value when someone is invested and coming from the district is able to choose them other than letting someone else choose them for us. And so let me definitely make sure that I see that contract, in that language. Just print that language out for me. Thank you so kindly, Mr. Fogg.
Now, I just want to be clear now. They still work for LaGuardia, okay?
I understand right now.
Right,
But we're
right.
just
They still
bringing
work for
them,
LaGuardia.
making
Yeah.
sure that they
That
join.
they transfer,
Yeah, right.
and that they could always work for Oak Park. That's
They
what
can
we're
always
trying-
work
they
for
can
Oak Park.
always work for Oak
Okay,
Park.
I understand. I'm very clear. I know how you talk. Very clear.
Do you?
Just make sure that we're able to hire them within our district. That's the only language I want to see. Thank you all so much.
Any
This
more
has made my
discussion?
day. This made my day.
Thank you all. Any more discussion on this motion? All right.
Made my day.
I forgot who made the motion.
Roll call.
Roll call for it.
Roll call, Ms. Greer, please.
Perryman Kane,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Madison.
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Webster.
Absolutely.
and Copeland.
I'm sorry, did you call my name? Oh, yes. Only if. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, we will now move to item number 7D, resolution MHSAA membership. Would anyone like to read that one?
I can read it.
All right, go ahead.
Be it resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education hereby adopts the standard form resolution enrolling the Oak Park District Secondary Schools as members of the Michigan High School Athletic Association Incorporated, effective August 1st, 2026 through July 31st, 2027.
Second.
Oh, go ahead.
Any motion made by trustee Scott and seconded by trustee Tyler. Any discussion on this motion? Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Madison.
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Webster,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Perryman Kane,
Yes.
and Tyler.
Yes.
All right, that motion has been passed. Item number 7E, adoption of the 2026-2027 proposed budget amendment.
For 25,
25, 26.
Oh, 20, I'll restart. Item number 7E, approval of the 2025-2026 final budget amendment.
I'll read it.
Okay, go ahead.
Resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the recommended final budget amendment for fiscal year 2025-2026 as presented and recommended by administration. Be it further resolved that the superintendent or designee is authorized to implement the budget amendment and make any necessary adjustments in accordance with applicable laws, regulations, and board policies.
Motion made by trustee Rogers. Any second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Perryman Tanks. Any discussion on this motion? Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Tyler,
Yes.
Madison,
Yes.
Perryman Kane,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Webster,
Yes.
and Scott.
Yes.
Okay, that motion has been passed. Item number 7F, adoption of the 2026-2027 proposed budget. Anyone like to read that?
I'll read it.
All right, go ahead.
Resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education hereby adopts the fiscal year 2026 to 2027 budget for the general fund, debt funds, capital projects fund, food service fund, and student activity fund as itemized in the appropriations document presented to the board. Be it further resolved that the superintendent and designated administrative staff are authorized to implement and administer the adopted budgets in accordance with applicable laws, regulations, and board policies.
All right, any second?
Second.
Motion made by trustee Webster and seconded by trustee Tyler. Any discussion on this motion?
I have a discussion.
All right, go ahead. You have the floor.
First, I would like to say that this is very important. This here is the top of the iceberg for us. And the reason is because we have a lot of blanks in this budget, meaning we're talking about cuts. We really don't have a plan or in regards to who's going to be cut, when they're going to be cut. I also feel that we was kind of blindsided because this information wasn't presented when the board book was posted. I'm not clear. I don't know if the board members are clear in regards to what you heard today about approving a budget that we're getting cuts, but yet line item G, we're going to be approving contracts. I don't know if you all added them up or if you even viewed them, but there are some contracts where some are going to be having a 2-year contract. There are some.
That's not true. There are no 2-year contracts.
I wasn't done, but okay.
Point of clarification, no 2-year contract.
You said point of communication?
Clarification.
Oh, so there's a contract where it states a raise in the first school year of 26-27, and then it states in the second school year there is an additional raise of 2%. And it also states that there's a stipends. So if that is not 2 years, what would that be?
So those were included as a part of the ORS, the Office of Retirement Services. That doesn't mean it's a 2-year contract. In the first paragraph, it says that the contract is in effect from July 1 of 2026 to June 30th of 2027. What we have included is ORS. So we had to create a salary schedule because they were all over the place, right? When you create a salary schedule, it increases the chances the person occupying the position will have a salary that counts towards Office of Retirement Services. There have been several lawsuits where people have retired because they don't have a salary schedule. They lost $60,000 as one example. That's MASA. I can send you that information. So the Office of Retirement Services said you have to have a schedule, which is why teachers have a schedule, parents have a schedule, school principals have a schedule, because that counts towards your Office of Retirement Services. So, and when the ORS calculates a person's pension, they look for a salary schedule, and I can send you that information. On July 30th, 2024, the Michigan Supreme Court issued a decision defining a salary schedule for ORS purposes as a, quote, 1, written document, 2, established by statute or approved by a reporting unit's governing body, 3, that indicates a time and sequence of compensation, and 4, conforms to a norm, rule, or principle. It applies to a generally applicable job classification rather than a specific employee. So in this case, cabinet level. For purposes of today's approval of a salary schedule for non-unionized employees, the district should consider creating a master salary schedule outside of employee contracts for non-unionized positions. And in this case, it only applies to cabinet, but it's still a 1-year contract.
So point of information, is this more so about item number G or F?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
So it's just seemed like you're referring to item number G instead of, item 7G instead of F.
I am talking about
The contracts, right?
no, I'm talking about the budget, which has something to do with the contracts,
Okay.
right? Are you?
I'm asking because you went deep, in depth with the
No,
contract. So
I
I
was
was
just
trying to
saying
make sure
that
we was
these
keeping them
contracts
separate.
are, so our budget has line items. And on those line items, they have the salaries. So if this budget is approved and we were talking about cuts, I brought up that there are contracts that are due to be approved tonight.
Right.
But
The
she
produ-
said she put all that in.
I'm
there.
sorry, point of order. So therefore, I'm gonna just read this.
Okay.
Whenever there are a cut environment, it was just told, and I swear I'm not gonna verbatim nobody, but what I heard is that this is what we gonna do. And if we gonna do this, we're gonna start here. And we're gonna take this and we're gonna take that. But in the meantime, we're gonna approve contracts. We have a projected budget. We don't have an actual. We're probably not gonna get the actual until later. But in what the discussion was, it wasn't that we're in the good. It was literally saying, so as the board, fiduciarily, we're responsible for what comes about.
Absolutely.
So if you're not listening to what was just said, we
I'm
can
listening.
point of order. We can legally be subjected to the downfall. It comes back to this table.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not taking it personal. I'm not pointing fingers. But if it was me and you coming to me saying that I'm about to be maybe laid off or we don't have no money, we can't do anything, it's happened. Chrysler didn't give out $0 in profit sharing. So I've been through it. And I can feel the pockets of people. So I'm saying that we are just talking about cuts. We don't have a plan. We're just talking about this might happen. But in the meantime, whether if it's a year, 2 years retirement, whether it's annuities, whether if it's stipends, whether it's whatever, right now we have to watch our money. And again, fiduciarily, we are being watched. So if you go ahead and you want to approve a budget where we're being told that you're going to do cuts, and then we're going to, I don't know, maybe or maybe not approve the contracts, but the contracts are not where they're raises. They're 1% raises. In some places it's 2% raises.
I understand that, but that's what I was getting to, Dawn. I'm not saying that we're going to approve. Who is that? I'm not saying that we're going to approve anything, or I'm not even disagreeing with you. I'm saying that what you're talking about is for G and not F. That's all.
I heard what you're saying, but that's not what I'm everything underneath the budget has a lot to do with the budget. So all I'm saying is that if we approve this budget based on what's underneath, do your homework, you'll see that if we get into trouble, it's not going to look good. It's just not. I would ask that we freeze the contracts, one, based on the fact that, let me stop right here. Based on the proposed budget, we don't have the money, projectively. That's it.
Right. Okay. Any more discussion on this motion? I have a question. So this has to be, a decision for this has to be made by July 1st?
Yes, legally, the district cannot operate if you do not have an approved budget by July 1st.
Okay.
And
then-
because of the tight turnaround, remember, we just learned of this through correct transparency and financial auditing. Far and I spent the last couple of weeks going line. It's literally thousands of line items in our overall budget. She combed every one to
Mhm.
find, are we telling it, are we accurate? Do we have all of our expenses accounted for? All of the things that go into it, right? I cannot in good conscience ethically come back and say a bullet point list of we doing this, this, and this. Now, what we can do is approve a budget to move forward, and then we can come back with a detailed plan and within an identified time frame from the board. But people live beyond these numbers, right? So I couldn't come back with a bullet point list tonight and say, cut this, cut this, cut this, cut this. Well, we have identified as target numbers. So my point is, you can approve a projected budget. And again, it's projected, right? The state hasn't even passed their budget. So we really don't even know, right, what's happening. The state hasn't passed their budget, which dictates our per pupil funding.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does do, so to Trustee Corcoran's point, if we say it's a freeze across all levels, we're going to do what's required, right? Because that's only 1%. Other groups get 2, 3, 4, 5%, right? Automatic roll, right? Because these are at-will employees, it is dictated by the district. So what we can do is say there's a automatic roll or automatic increase freeze, right? And then come back with timelines, a 30-day action plan, things that are urgent and now, and things with a timeline. Because again, this is a projected budget for the entirety of 2026 and 2027. But you can't operate the district without an approved budget after June 30th. So I would recommend to approve a budget, right? Approve the budget to continue to operate after, because we can't spend any dollar.
Mm-hmm.
That's payroll, that's everything. If we don't adopt a budget, legally you cannot spend $1. Right?
Okay.
So I would suggest that we adopt this budget. And again, we just got this information, right? So that we can look at it ethically and legally. What are we required to do? What is ethically right to do? What is morally right to do? Right? And come back with a detailed plan within an identified time frame from the board. Because this just says if we keep spending our money the way we are currently spending it, this is how we
Seem
will
like that's
end up. Right?
So-
That's what a projected budget says.
Okay. One more question. Well, not one more, but my next question is, we do have a meeting on the 29th.
Oh, yeah, I got one on 29.
Could we revisit it? Do we have a way that anybody from the board could even have a say-so on, on the, like this, for example, if one of us could have, not one, more like a committee?
So I have a couple questions. So we want to table it and bring it back to the 29th, right? That's still such a time.
It is, but it'll give us more of a plan, because.
So I would ask a couple questions.
Doing it though. It's just
I would ask a couple questions. So
Mhm.
for the board, and some of these seem very like matter of fact, but just go with me, okay? So should we prioritize protecting classroom instruction to the greatest extent possible?
Definitely protect the class.
Should we prioritize preserving legally mandated services, including special ed and required student
Yes.
supports? Okay. Should we review central office, central office, contracted services, consultants, supplies, travel, conferences, stipends, athletics, extracurriculars, department budgets, and non-mandated programming?
Yeah.
Okay. Is the board willing to consider staffing reductions, restructuring, or position elimination if non-personnel reductions are not sufficient? Let me read that again.
Yes.
Mhm.
Is the board willing to consider staffing reductions, restructuring, or position eliminations if non-personnel reductions are not sufficient?
So that's layoffs.
Yes. Okay.
So I would rather not do layoffs and try to.
We have to protect our.
Yeah, we gotta protect the
Okay.
people.
For sure, there's so many other things.
Okay,
we
now
can do.
it's $8 million. So I don't know.
Okay.
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 Are there programs, services, or positions that the board wants protected before administration finalizes recommendations? Y'all can
No
ponder on that
restrict-
one.
Yeah, that's something we gotta.
Would the board like a detailed plan returned in phases such as immediate reductions, 30-day? Well, y'all said no
Yeah.
reductions. I mean, but like that's personnel, not layoffs, right? Immediate reductions, 30-day reductions, and longer term restructuring.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds good.
All right, a couple more, and this helps give me guardrails and where to go next. I think those are all of my questions. So when we sit down, now today is the 22nd, we will work very diligently, right? But I do recognize at the end of all of those numbers, even if it's a purchase service, it's a person, right? At the end of that. So I'm being conscientious while also being fiduciarily, I make up words, responsible, right?
That's
As
it.
good stewards of our children's resources. So we would do the best that we can to put a little bit more meat on the proposed, because we did provide the proposed monetary reductions, but the detailed plan and the meat on those proposed reductions, we will do the best that we can. So we will come back on the 29th.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I have a question. I know I can't say it. It's in the, what am I looking at? The personnel action item. Oh, we're not on it. Okay, can't talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait. Okay.
Okay, so, we have motion to table that item number 7F.
Clarification, I'm sorry. Is that, so when we say no staffing reductions, is that carte blanche or what? Tell me more.
What is carte blanche?
Sorry, you're right. Is that across the board, carte blanche across the board, no staffing reductions? Or prioritizing certain things?
Now, when you say across the board, do you mean as far as, like you said earlier, when you said if reassigning, like if it's a 12 class and you can put those 12 people in other classes, like that?
Yeah, so reassignment, that wouldn't be a reduction. It may be a reduction in that section, but it wouldn't
Right.
reduce a person, right? I
Right.
would just put them in another vacancy or whatever. But I mean from the top, like top to bottom.
It seems like that is everyone's desire to avoid at all
Yeah.
costs.
Okay.
But if you take 12, you're not gonna overroll the classes. That's not.
No, we'll
good
still be
either.
within our contracted.
We don't want that.
Yeah,
either.
no, that won't
Not
create
30
a
kids in the class.
No,
and all
we don't
that.
want
No,
that.
we're not about to do that.
So we will do it.
So our
She just said we're not doing it.
Yeah, still in accordance with the contracted negotiated class sizes, so that we won't violate the CBA when we do that. And I will come back with, because at the end of the day, the number is the number, right?
Right.
So if we have to cut $8 million,
Yeah.
that's not going to come off from one place. We would never
Sure.
cut food, food services. We would only cut things that are non-essential.
I cater. It's like, no.
For our 3,000 students.
I'm just
So
joking.
we got a little meat. We'll
Mhm.
come back with some bullet points.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate that. All right, so item number 7G.
I'm sorry, point of order,
Yes.
information. So what, we're tabling it to the 29th?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Tabling that to June 29th.
I'm sorry. And to Trustee Corcoran's point earlier, you're right. You did not receive it in the board book. Ms. Farr and her partner worked so hard last week to try to right size this thing and get the most accurate information. She drew down grants, like found other reimbursements, other things to present the most accurate picture. Once you get an opportunity to review it more thoroughly, if you have questions, please email them to me before the 29th so that I can come back with real information and responses to your questions.
Okay.
Okay.
So when you're looking for a CFO, right, or whatever, is that?
It's gonna be on hold.
But isn't that a person who would work with the budget much better?
Yes, but
Am
right
I
now we
correct?
do have a director of finance who's Ms. Farr and been presenting. That's actually wanted to be transparent. That's actually one of the reductions in that line item for the business office that we discussed. Because we currently don't have a CFO, but we had earmarked dollars for that. We don't have one, but we do have a director of finance. And so we're talking about ways that we can maximize what we have without having to replace, right?
Gotcha.
So
I just got one question.
Sure.
I know I didn't take all these MASB classes. I promise you, it's a class full of people from all over Michigan. But stab me later,
Succinct.
cast me down if you like. But I have have not heard anything about the administration. We are overrode, top heavy in this building, Granson Street. Is it a reason why we haven't, or we can equalize, like you take some from here, some from there, because it's a 13% cuts. So I was just wondering,
Yeah.
why, yeah. if-
On the,
'Cause-
I don't have it. You have it here? Let me show you. So on the projected, it's a prorata sheet, this sheet here. All the yellows, it shows by function code, the area and then the proposed cuts. All the yellows are the cuts and it's all the way, every category.
But I don't see administration.
So
I see Board of Education,
2232.
Executive Administration,
Yeah.
but they at the
Office of the
bottom.
principal.
Does that
It just,
matter?
it just goes in order function code.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's how you put it on there. So since it's a two, it starts in the 200s, 300s.
So what I was saying is that I didn't hear you say it. I see it here though, that you showed it, the general administration, so executive administration.
Plus is these two.
Okay, so this is the final amendment.
Yep.
The salary
Yes.
cut
Uh-huh.
is that amount, and then the salary cut for the, excuse me, the executive. Right.
232.
$2,000?
No, not 2,000, right here. 59. But it's proportional. Look, you got, look, you started this at $24 million.
Okay, but why? But it's more people and more teachers than it is administration.
Right,
so
so
it don't seem big.
Right, so it's proportionate.
But it's only two executive, so.
No, it's other things included
Oh.
under here. So this also, executive administration also includes our legal fees.
Is it coming up to our executive?
It includes a couple of different line items. So
So-
it would be
So-
the 200s, the 300s. I'm sorry, 231s,
So
232s, 241s, 249s, 252
Can-
in business office. Sorry.
So the plan again is, that's listed, right?
Mhm.
But we just haven't had the plan, you haven't said, where are you gonna start?
Because it's people behind all those numbers, so I didn't want to come in here in 3 days talking about
My bad.
we couldn't.
I get you.
Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego.
Understood.
okay, so I think that's going to be in the plan that you come
Yes, that
before
we
us.
bring
Am I
back.
correct?
Yes.
I
Okay.
think some of Don corporate
Questions,
concerns
yes.
will be answered
Yes,
at
yes,
that.
absolutely.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
great. Okay, so again, item number 7F, adoption of the 2026-2027 proposed budget has been tabled to June 29th, 2026. All right, so item number 7G, I would like to move to postpone this matter until our August meeting.
Which one?
Employee contract.
I'm sorry.
So we can,
July.
I'm sorry, just for discussion, we can stick and stay where everybody is currently at right now. That's what we've agreed to do from top on down until we come back with our
Okay.
plan, and then you all will
Maybe
make
look
a,
at- look at-
approval after that.
All right,
So would that
anybody
be-
second that?
I'm sorry, point of information.
Yes.
So would that be a freeze until August?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Tell me,
Didn't
she
she
said
just
to the
say that?
29th. when
No,
we come
till
back.
August.
That's not what.
No, when I
asked.
come back on the 29th, June 29th, I will present what the specific reduction or
plan.
whatever the areas will be, right? If that impacts a person, then we will follow the board policy around layoffs and all of those things, right? That can happen before August.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
makes sense.
If it comes to that. So,
I think we just wait till the 29th, you think?
No, that's not enough time. We still.
What
For us
are
to
y'all
make the
saying
decision
down
about
there?
G?
To make a decision about G?
A 1% raise for all 80 of these people.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it's in, I think,
Not right
but-
now, while we talking about cuts.
why
We
don't
can.
the same
Yeah,
thing?
I'm thinking on the 29th, she should be able to say,
Yeah.
she should be able to tell us on the 29th if anyone's, what, I think to this G, I think that's why we holding off on G. I think we holding off on everything until the 29th so that she can come and say, okay, look, I think here need to be cut, this need to cut, and so it may have some of these in there. To the 29th.
Yeah, I think we gonna be,
So it's,
If
so
not,
we should be
we'll
able to
table it.
see
If
it.
not, we'll table it again.
I don't think no one's gonna be working. I think we can do it. We can do it. Superintendent gonna get it to us, and we gonna look at. She gonna be up burning the midnight oil for her cabinet. Midnight oil. I think.
Okay, so item number 7G is going to be tabled until, please, order. Item number 7G is going to be tabled until June 29th, 2026 as well.
Okay. I second.
All right,
That was a motion, right? That was a motion, right?
There's a motion.
yes,
So it's
that's
for
a motion,
discussion.
please.
Yes. I second.
Made by myself, seconded by trustee Tyler. Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Isn't there discussion?
Just to move it.
To
Oh,
move it, we already talked
Oh,
about
my
it.
bad, my bad.
All right,
Just
Ms.
whenever
Greer.
there's a motion, there's a discussion. That's all I'm just saying.
We
It's
just discussed it.
It's the type of motion.
All right,
But
Ms.
that
Greer, can you
motion-
please call the roll?
Scott?
It was on
Yes.
there. I'm in
Rogers?
class, but
Yes.
just telling you.
Webster?
Yes.
Madison?
Yes.
Copeland?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Herman Tanks? And Tyler?
Yes.
All right, that motion
Why
has
does it
been
I'm
tabled
sorry.
till
Point-
June
point of-
29th.
I'm sorry, point of order. I can't let this go by today. Why? I have apologized. I have said I'm sorry. Faces, we just had board governance and goals of the board. And I'm sorry I got to be the first one, but I feel some kind of way right now. I feel that I'm being disrespected again. All I'm doing is asking questions. Don't beat me up. I have apologized. I have said I'm sorry just to even ask a question. Please, don't do that to me. Please. It is disturbing and it really irritates me. As a leader of this board, there shouldn't be a pin drop because I said something.
It's not because you said anything.
I'm sorry. I'm letting you know my feelings. If you don't respect that, then that's too bad. My feeling is when I'm talking and a pin drop, that's disturbing and that's bad board behavior. Period.
Trustee Corcoran.
And I'm talking.
Trustee Corcoran.
Nope. I'm talking about what just happened to me. I am asking for that not to happen to me again, please. If you can refrain from that, I do ask nicely. I humbly ask you. I am no one's child. I am not a disrespectful person, and I ask for it to be in return. Thank you.
Trustee Corcoran, as Ms. Greer was taking roll, you were talking the entire time, and that's why I dropped my pen, because I don't know if you heard her or not, but I wanted to regain order in this room.
You have a gavel.
I used it.
No, you did not. You dropped your pen. You just
I used it right before I dropped my
apologize,
pen.
community.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to item number 8, information items. 8A, proposed district grading policy update.
It's the other part of my job, teaching and learning. All right, so you're welcome. There you go. So we have done,
Thank
it's a
you.
long time coming. I see some of our educators in the house on tonight. It has been a long time coming. We are coming from the Office of Teaching and Learning to do a recommendation on an update to our grading policy. I'm just gonna stand up here so I can see y'all. Grading policy revision specifically for secondary. This is a little historical context. Back in 2018 and 19, we updated our grading policy to reflect a 80-20 summative formative. So summative are all your tests, quizzes, 80% of your grade, 20% of your grade is like classwork, right? When COVID came, that shifted a lot of things, right, instructionally. So we went to a 50-50. 50% of your grade is summative or class or test and quizzes, 50% is homework, classwork, blah, blah, blah. We're 5 years removed from COVID, right? And we've heard a lot of feedback from our educators around the negative impact around lack of motivation for our secondary students who based on two important parts. So we did a survey of all teachers, and these were the main two things that they lifted up. They wanted a change or consideration of change around clear guidance for late work submissions. So currently, the grading policy says students can turn in their work up to 1 week before the end of the marking period.
What time?
It's a very generous.
Very.
Very generous. Because we understand what the intention was, but the implementation is not matching the intention, right? And we recognize that. Because some kids will wait until the last of the last and turn in 50 missing assignments and expect the teacher to grade it because the policy says you can turn it in up to 1 week before the marking period, which puts a lot of, extra stress and stuff on our educators, and we heard them. Also, a lot of the teachers expressed concern of our current 50% floor policy. So what that means is currently, and this is like probably began in the 2015, 14, 13 school year.
Okay, that was 2012.
There's a ton of research that talks about how our traditional grading scale is inequitable, right? So you have a 0 to 100, but 0 to 50 is an F, and then it goes in 10-point increments, right? So 0 to 50% is an F, 51 to 60 or whatever it is for D, you got it, right? Or 0 to 59 is an F, or E in our case. So years ago, they called it a 50% floor, which meant if you did not submit your work, you get an automatic 50 that could be turned into a 0 at the end of the card marking. But what that does sometimes is can present an inflated view of a student's actual grade. Now, to be fair, they still have an E. And the intent was that you don't go so far in the basement that you can never come out of an E, right? But we also recognize the unintended consequence that it's had on students of not submitting stuff or not doing their best work because it's an automatic 50, right? And so a couple of the revisions that we are recommending, is this is just for information tonight, we'll come back on hopefully the 29th. Or maybe I add one item. Because if we make any changes, I have to communicate that to staff and to parents, right? So in decency and in order. So some of the revisions we are considering is currently late work, so I'm at the bottom. Proposed policy, I had extras. So proposed policy revisions right now, late work policy right now, they can turn in late work any time of the quarter. So proposed, we would establish a uniform penalty structure, either a 5% reduction per day up to a maximum of 2 weeks from the original due date. So if something was due 2 weeks ago, you only got 2 weeks to turn it in, because really the teachers use that as information to drive their instruction. How do I know that you can't do this one-step equation if you wait to the end of the card marking period to, turn in your work? I can't help you in that time, right? So the rationale is to provide students with an opportunity to demonstrate learning while reinforcing responsibility and timeliness. So the 2 week window gives teachers enough time to get information about can this child do X, Y, and Z, and to give them feedback. And it also teaches our students responsibility and timeliness, right? Those are soft skills they're gonna need when they get to where we're at, okay? The second thing is the 50% grading floor adjustment. Currently, 50% minimum applies to all assignments regardless of submission status. And that change was made over, it was a lot of contextual things, right? Right now, our proposal is to maintain a 50% floor only for work that is submitted or attempted. Unsubmitted work get an automatic 0. Now, of course, we would do all that we can to make sure students submit their assignments, right? Because that's how teachers get information to help them along their learning journey for that unit, right? But they can't grade what they don't have. So the rationale ensures the floor policy supports learning recovery while maintaining academic integrity and accurate reflection of student effort, right? So if you tried, we're gonna give you credit for trying, right? If you really got a 30%, but you really tried your best, then the base you'll get is a 50 because you tried, right? And again, the reason we do that is because the floor, the 0 to 50 floor is this big, but the rest of the increments are only 10,
Right.
10, 10,
Right.
you know? So the next steps, pending approval of this update, the Office of Teaching and Learning will update policy language for board review that will include these changes to the grading policy for secondary only. We will provide staff communication on implementation expectations, and we will incorporate revisions into the 26-27 handbook for staff and parent communications. Again, this is only for 6 through 12. right? Elementary, they still good. They still rocking and rolling. Later recommendation, we recommend approval of the proposed revisions to strengthen grading consistency and accountability across secondary schools effective beginning the 26-27 school year. And again, it just highlights the two recommendations. Late policy revision and then the 50% floor, only for submitted work, only to try. That is the information item for tonight. Please, if you have questions, email me because I'm gonna ask our president to put it as an action item on the next meeting so that I can communicate out to families and staff what our role is moving forward. Any questions tonight?
No questions from you. All right, thank you, Ms. Murphy. Item number 9, communications. Any communications from administration? Any communications, Ms. Murphy?
No, we do have trustee Corcoran, the moonlighting language for the board policy.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
All right.
For
So
policy approvals.
it was real quick. As I was saying, just to add the names to include the specific employees that are employed through the district. I think we were being specific in regards to. I need to put a motion. That's what I need to do. So, I put a motion to amend policy number 4,000, the 4,000 series personnel under anti-moonlighting. That was a motion.
You gotta read it, right?
I'm sorry. To amend, not amend. Yes, to amend, where it says school district employees to just specify, excuse me.
It's about 300 direct.
So what I'm gonna do is, I would say, or to include the non-bargaining, because isn't it what you, they're, because they can't moonlight, right? Or was it though? Oh, wait, was it?
No.
Okay, 1 second.
Let me see. Can I see?
Yes.
Okay. We can say school district employees directly employed by the district.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're not gonna list on 300. That'll be crazy. That's why I asked, like, how many is it? Okay, yes. Did you hear that? Oh, okay, she's right.
So we would amend the 4003 anti-moonlighting policy to say school district employees who are employed by the district.
Employed by the district.
So if you're employed by First Student, Chartwells, Strategic Staff, and Wheel Sub, any other place.
What's the name of the security company?
LaGuardia.
Them too.
Them too.
You need a second? No, yes. Second? Yeah, I second.
Did we say it? Did we say the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trustee Corcoran said it.
Okay. All right. So motion made by trustee Corcoran and seconded by trustee Tyler?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Greer, can you please call the roll? Or any discussion on this motion? No? All right, Ms. Greer, can you please call the roll?
Chairman Tanks,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Madison.
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Webster,
Yes.
and Cochran.
Yes.
All right, that motion has been passed. Item number,
Wait, President. I'm sorry. That was just one of the policies.
Right.
So is that motion inclusive of all the policies
Yes.
given that language?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Because now we have to move forward with a cell phone policy.
Yes.
Well, regulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9, communications. Any communications from administration?
Summer school started today. So shout out to all of our employees who have sacrificed their summer to provide high quality summer programming to our scholars. We appreciate them. We know it's a labor of love. They do get compensation, but you got to agree to come back in your summer to work. So shout out to all of our employees who come for summer programming. And it's going to be a beautiful summer. That's all I got.
All righty. Any communications from the board? Thank you, Ms. Murphy.
I'm sorry, I just had point of order. You said that we did approve all the policies under that.
Yes.
Okay.
Any communications from the board?
I have some. I did watch the graduation. I thought it was really nice.
Aw.
I loved your speech and just
Thank
how you
you.
stayed true to who you was in your essay. That was really cool. I loved your speech as well.
Thank
You did a
you.
really great job.
Thank you so much.
It was a really great graduation. You guys did amazing.
Shout out to our graduation planning crew, Miss Philpotts, Miss Zanetta, Miss Fuller, Mr. Bondano, who all on the Mr. Falk, Miss Tiffany, Miss Yolanda. It takes a crew, a village to pull that off. So we thank operations, security, our teacher planning team, our executive staff for coming together and planning such a beautiful day for our children.
And it was really great to see your keynote speaker and how young he is and what he's doing. Like he could resonate with the graduating class. So that was really great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I'm done.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody
Also,
else?
I'd like to thank the graduating class for my backpack. Appreciate it. I do utilize it every single day.
Oh, also, I'm sorry, President. Our track team just took home a national title in Philadelphia. I've asked Coach Giles to send me the name of the title that they took home, but he has not sent it yet. But I do want to congratulate our track team. They took home a national title. I will make sure I present that in the board updates. But shout out to them and Coach Brandon Giles of the Oak Park
Congratulations.
cross country and track and field team.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
I got one more thing to say because she said that. Can we get a parade for them, like sometime, a street named after them? I know we might have to go through the city, but I remember coming into Oak Park, it always talked about the athletic department, and I think they need to come back with that. So I think we, amen. So I think we can,
I agree.
hopefully ask, cause I mean, they busting butt. Have you guys seen them run? I mean, you remember the flow? They flowing like flow.
Probably need to make sure they can get in the July 4th parade. Maybe. For the city. Let's see if they can get in there.
She gonna work on that right now. Call that mayor. She got a cell phone number. She said open door.
Okay, and tongue gate, absolutely.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So, any other communications from the board? No? Anybody? All right. I would like to say, nothing much. Just that I was able to go to stop at summer school at Key today. Everything went well. It was nice to see the beautiful faces of the kids and the teachers and administration and the committees. I'm going to look into, going about getting us some committees now. And that's it. That's all. Thank you again, everybody, for all that you do in our district. So now we will go to item number 10, adjournment. Ms. Tyler, can you tell us when the next board meeting is?
Yes, ma'am, President.
Thank
The
you.
next Board of Education meeting will be held Monday, June the 29th at 2026, 2026, at 6 p.m. in our boardroom at the administration
All
building.
right. This meeting is adjourned. The time is now 8:03.